Hello everybody, Dokkan Assets here. Today we are back with another Dragon Ball Super figure unboxing video. And today we are taking a look at a figure that I have been so excited to look at for a long time. Today, let me clean the boy up a little bit. Let me get the little bit of dust off our boy here. There we go. We have the Omnibus Z Super Saiyan Blue Gogeta. This is a really cool Super Saiyan Blue Gogeta figure, and I have actually had this guy in storage for quite some time. I have actually basically all the figures that I wanted from the Omnibus Z line in storage, except for, of course, the figure that we have already opened on this channel, that being, of course, the Goku in the casual clothes from the Cell Saga. That figure is absolutely fantastic, so I have high hopes for this guy as well. The camera doesn't want to focus on the nothing that is on the bottom of the figure. But yeah, I am super excited for this line. Obviously, the Omnibus Z Fuji is it's a set that I think a lot of people really liked, including myself. Like I said, I have basically the figures that, besides obviously, of course, Goku, that I'm gonna probably take a look at in the future, that being Broly and the Goku and Frieza from the Tournament of Power. But this Gogeta is not only a figure that I wanted to take a look at for a while, because of course it's just a cool Gogeta, but this video is also technically for a friend of mine, the homie Raspy on Twitter.com. He was thinking about buying this figure, and so I told him, well, I have it in storage and I'm going to make a video on it eventually, so when I do, I'll let you know. So shout out to my boy. Hopefully this video helps in your decision-making process of what Gogeta Blue figure to buy, because I know this was one of your prime choices, but this is already looking to be pretty difficult with how this is getting out of the box. There is no, I'm kind of surprised that they don't like have his arm out, you know, like out of the box or something like that. I think I'm going to cut this because this is a really tight fit. I do not remember the last time a Kuji figure was this tight. There we go. Wonderful. Get our boy out. We have him in, it looks like, 2 pieces here. We'll clean that up a little bit later. I'm actually very excited for this video because I have a little bit of a surprise as well for the end. Okay, so he does come in basically 2 pieces, as well as the stand here. So let's go ahead and grab the stand out. Now, I did get this guy for around 35 bucks on Amazon. I did get it when it was available for pre-order, so I have had this guy for a long time because this guy was available for pre-order. I believe it was January of last year is when it released, because I looked it up on Amazon. I took a peek at when the order actually came in on my Amazon account, and it said January. So I've had this guy for quite a long time, over a year now. It just so happened that I just didn't get around to taking a look at him. Sometimes I get around to looking at figures, and sometimes I don't, just because I end up doing other videos and other figures take priority. So sometimes some of the boys just sit in storage. I know that seems kind of weird, but so is the life of a figure collector. Alright, so ooh, that smells really weird, I gotta say. So first of all, I am very glad that they bubble wrapped my man's head. That is always very nice to see, obviously to protect the hair and the bang. I quite like this pose, even though it is a little bit like, I think this is supposed to be the pose where he's like throwing aside Broly, right? But I feel like his hands were in a little bit of a different position, but that's okay. Alright, so let's take a look at his legs. First of all, I like that they also wrapped up the boots. That is very nice. I feel like I have not seen another figure do that before. But these boots do look really, really nice. I love the way that the, you know, fabric, quote unquote, looks on the boots. I think they did an absolutely fantastic job making that feel like it's very natural clothing that's just sort of like sitting there on his body. Obviously they have some indentation for, of course, you know, how his pants are supposed to look. This does look a little bit jank to me, I will say. Obviously this is supposed to be like his pants are bunched up, shoved into his boot here, but it does feel a little bit janky, if I'm being honest. This like way that they have it done, And I think that this is interesting. This almost just looks like that this side is just the flipped of this side with the way that the seams are. That's a very interesting way to do it. But regardless, I think these pants look good. The obi belt looks good as well. I love the way that the edges of this look. Oh, very, very nice. I think it looks very natural, like it's flowing in the wind, which is great. Obviously what you want for this figure. Can it stand? Okay, so it can stand without the top half and without the stand, but obviously we are going to chuck the stand on him. I would assume it looks like it could be either foot, to be honest, but I think he stands this way, so I'm gonna assume it's this one. This looks a little bit more natural. I really don't want to mess up his feet here or like put any nicks on the, yeah, okay, all right, yeah, it's definitely that foot. That fit on there very, very nicely, very nice and snug. By the way, forgot to mention it, clear stand, always fantastic. Oh, and that stand's very nice now. A lot of Dragon Ball figures in the past had these really nasty like colored stands, and they just did not look that great. All right, the big reveal for our boy. Let's see what Gogeta looks like. I don't want to ruin the head. Okay, so we have the face here. Wow. Okay, so I have a lot to say about this. For one, the face does feel a little bit weird for me, right? Like, I think that maybe it just doesn't capture the Broly style, maybe? I don't dislike it for sure. Like, I don't look at this and I'm like, oh, this figure is bad, right? Because sometimes with faces, that happens. But this is definitely not a bad figure face for sure. However, something definitely feels a little bit strange about it. However, I have to say, I really like the look of the hair. I really like how almost loose it looks. It kind of looks like it's a lot more natural than like a lot of these figures that just are like, all right, put the spikes on his head and then we'll call it a day, right? This feels like, you know, each individual hair spike is sort of like spread out and kind of poofed out from the one next to it. I really, really like the way that that looks, and I like the way that it sort of spreads out to the side on the back there as well. It almost kind of reminds me of the way that Gotenks' hair looks sometimes. That is very cool. Definitely very nice. I like the pose as well. I think they also did a very stellar job on the Metamor Fusion jacket as well. I think that that looks very nice. It is a little bit more green than I would like it. I would definitely like it to be a little bit more of a yellow color, but definitely not bad by any means. Gogeta's overall detail on his muscle definition looks good. It's kind of hard to see because obviously you have the cloak and his arms sort of in the way, but I think they did a good job on the muscle definition. I love even the detail of like his hands, right? That looks crazy as well. Obviously the fluttering of the Metamor Fusion jacket also looks really good too. I think they nailed that for the wind look. All right. Let's go ahead and stick on the top half then. Oh, okay, so it goes like this then, my bad. All right, so this should just, let me grab it here. They should just go on. It is weird that this has like a seam line there. Also, I just noticed you can also see his head is also hollow. That's interesting. I don't think I've ever seen that on a figure before. Wow, okay, that just slid on so easily. I was expecting to have to force that. But the way that this is sculpted, they do a really good job of having the obi belt just be a little bit above where it like it sits, right? So it looks like that it's all one piece. You would definitely not be able to tell if you didn't know that that was two pieces, right? You would definitely not know for sure. And that looks really good, honestly. I think that that is a very nice looking Gogeta figure, if I do say so myself. Let me get the bubble wrap out of there. I think that this guy looks really cool. Again, I definitely like the very unique pose. I believe it is supposed to be referencing that scene where Gogeta throws Broly to the side. I know that that's also his animation in Dragon Ball Legends when he switches in the yellow-blue Gogeta. He just slid off the table there. My bad. But yeah, very cool looking figure. Again, it's something with his face though. Like, I don't know, maybe it's his expression that I feel like is a little bit weird. I don't know. He also looks, it doesn't look like this in person, which is so strange. Maybe it's just the camera angle that I have him at, but he looks a little bit lopsided on camera. But I can assure you that in person, definitely a lot different for sure. But yeah, let's go ahead and do some size comparisons with this guy. Now, obviously, with this guy being a Ichiban Kuji figure, he is quite a large lad, if I do say so myself. You can see that he towers over Goku and Gotenks, absolutely, weighing in at a much taller height than even Gotenks' spiky hair. Let's go ahead and give it the old measurement here. And that looks to be about, on camera, it looks like it's closer to 10 inches, but if we take a little lift here, that looks to be about, I want to say like 9 3/4, I think is a good estimate. That is eyeballing it at least. That definitely looks like just about where my man stands. Definitely a pretty good size. Obviously, again, with him being a Ichiban Kuji figure, it is kind of to be expected that he is going to be a little bit bigger. All right, let's go ahead and get our usuals off the stage here. And I have quite a treat for you guys today, I think. So first of all, before we look at any other Gogeta figures, I did want to bring out the first Ichiban Kuji Broly movie Goku for a little bit of a side-by-side because I felt like these guys, would be pretty good together. And wow, they actually do look really cool. I think it helps a lot that their poses complement each other very, very nicely. It is interesting to see some of the sculpting details here. It's interesting that Gogeta seems like his sculpt is a lot more softer. However, I think that his hair is a lot more pointy than Goku's, which is kind of weird to say. I almost feel like Goku's is a little bit more like fluffy. Maybe that's because Gogeta's spikes are a little bit more exaggerated, like with how I was talking about that they're a little bit more spread out. But something interesting that they both do that I really like is they have these sort of darker blue tones towards the root of their hair, and as it goes up, it lightens up a little bit until you get that sort of whiter look on the blue on the tip of the hair. Very, very cool figure. Definitely a good sharing on the shelf kind of comparison there for sure. And because we opened this guy semi-recently, I had to bring him back out. He is the only base Gogeta figure that I own. Hello, Gogeta. I know, you're very tall. We have the, of course, the Extreme Saiyan Ichiban Kuji Gogeta here. And these guys also look really, really cool together. This, honestly, it just makes me want to get the Extreme Saiyan Blue Gogeta even more. But these guys look fantastic together. Obviously, it's really cool having a bunch of different forms of Gogeta, and not just that, having Gogeta here. It is also interesting how the different colors of the Metamoran fusion kind of compare here, because I feel like they're both a little bit too green for my liking, but looking at these side by side, I actually think that the blue Gogeta here has a little bit more of a green tone than a yellow, which I feel like is present on the Extreme Saiyan one. Very interesting. But yeah, very cool figures for sure. It's also interesting that the Extreme Saiyan's one's hair is a lot shorter than the blue Gogeta from the Omnibus Z Kuji. Like, his hair is a lot more shoved down into his head. The heads are a lot more spiked, or the spikes, are a lot less exaggerated, right? And a lot shorter than each individual spike on the blue Gogeta. Very interesting. All right, so now I figured since this is probably going to be my last blue Gogeta figure for a while, unless they really decide to go crazy and come out with another like really cool blue Gogeta figure, I figured, and no pun intended, it was time for the boys to come out to play. That's right. I decided for today's video, because I am taking a look at this blue Gogeta figure, and not only that, let me get the dust off the boys, I am also taking a look at this figure for a friend of mine as well. Oh boy, how are we going to get all these guys in the frame? We are going to take a look at every single blue Gogeta figure that I have. This guy being the fifth one, I believe, in the collection. I don't know how I ended up with this many. I could not tell you, even if I tried. Oh my gosh, you literally can't even get them all. There we go. Do we have them all in the frame? No, Gogeta's blocking Gogeta. There we go. Okay, we have somewhat of a semblance of all the boys. boys in the frame. Oh my gosh, that is super cool to look at, if I do say so myself. Look at all these blue boys. These guys are so cool. So obviously we have a plethora of Gogetas. I have not done this before, I don't think, where I've brought out every single version of a figure that I have. But this is honestly really cool, seeing all of these small little differences between each of these. And this is another thing that I love about collecting Dragon Ball figures, right? Is that even though each of these figures are the same character, they're all very unique and very different in their own way. For starters, the hair on literally all of these guys is different, right? Like on the, I don't remember the Ultimate Soldier's Gogeta. I almost forgot the name of the line. The one where it has the very cool base. The hair is a very light blue, and there is not a lot of detail on it, right? That kind of goes with the whole figure. It's a lot more of a simpler design, but it fits a lot more with the Broly movie sort of style, right? We also have the Bandai Namco exclusive one, which has a lot of long hair too, but it's a very plain sort of like cyan blue. We also have the Dokkan one. Oops, sorry, I punched the camera, but you didn't see it anyway because you're looking at the pretty pictures. But the Dokkan one, right, has these very dark blue tones to it. And obviously the Grandista one has the shiny blue look as well. So it's interesting even just noting that, right? And even just the detail style on each of these guys' hair is different. Obviously, the little bits of detail that they put in the Metamoran jacket is different on all of these. It's interesting to see on some of them they're a lot more simpler, where like the Grandista one, there's a lot more defined edges on it. Obviously, the paint styles for all these are a little bit different as well, too. And of course, we have to mention the color, like I said before. The yellow on the Grandista one and the Dokkan one is a lot more apparent. And on the Ultimate Soldiers one as well. I feel like it's pretty green on the Kuji one. And honestly, the Bandai Namco one even has a little bit of sort of a mustard color to it rather than a brighter yellow. But it is really interesting to see these guys all together. And I just noticed the Obi belts as well are all a little bit of a different shade of blue. Even like teal with the Kuji one that we see here. But that is gonna do it for today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Definitely do not forget to like and subscribe if you enjoyed. It really, really helps out the channel. Out of all of these guys, it is really hard to say my favorite blue Gogeta figure that I own. Ironically enough, I always still lean towards the Namco Gogeta just because I think maybe it's a little bit of nostalgia because it was the Super Saiyan Blue Gogeta figure that I got first, but I still think it's a great representation of the character. The Grandista one is also one of my favorites, despite the problems that it has with the hollow pants and whatnot. I still think that it is a fantastic looking figure, but I like all these guys. They're very cool for different reasons, and I think that they all have something about them that at least makes them unique enough to own all of these different blue Gogeta figures. But definitely let me know in the comments section what is your favorite blue Gogeta figure. It does not have to be one of the ones on the table here. It can definitely be a different one as well. And as well, if you would like to support my Gogeta Blue addiction, apparently, you can do so over on the old Patreon. The Patreon is dedicated to the figure unboxing channel, so if you're putting your sweet hard-earned cash in there, it will be going directly to me buying more blue-haired men. So thank you for that if you do, but of course, I really appreciate you guys just watching and supporting the content in general. It means a lot to me, and I'm very happy that this channel has been very successful so far, and I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I'm very happy to be able to do stuff like this where I can just bring out all these Gogeta blues and have a very good time with this. This was a very fun video to make, I'm not gonna lie. But I want to thank you guys so much for watching once again, and without further ado, I will catch you guys in the next one. Dokkan Assets out. Peace.